All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to take what looks like a super complicated chapter on the respiratory system and turn it into a simple, powerful study guide. Let's get you acing that test.
So you crack open the textbook and bam! You're hit with all these diagrams, crazy labels, and a ton of scientific terms. If you're looking at this and your brain's starting to shut down a little, hey, don't worry. You are definitely not alone in feeling that way. But here's the secret. The key to learning this stuff isn't about memorizing every single word. It's about understanding the story. So, okay, let's just dive in and break it all down. First things first. Before we get bogged down in all the little parts and pieces, let's zoom all the way out. What's the main goal of this whole system? I mean, why do we even bother breathing?
At its heart, it's actually super simple. Breathing is all about a trade. Our body desperately needs to bring in oxygen. That's the fuel for our cells. And at the same time, it needs to get rid of the waste product, which is carbon dioxide. That's it. Good stuff in, bad stuff out.
So now that we know the why, let's get into the how. We're going to take a little guided tour. Just imagine we're following a single gulp of air as it makes its way deep inside your body. And our journey starts right here, at the nose. But, it's way more than just a doorway. Think of it as a super smart air filter and heater. The little hairs and the mucus, they're the first line of defense, trapping dust and warming up that cold air so it doesn't shock your lungs. Pretty clever, right? Okay, next up, that clean, warm air travels down the main highway, the trachea, what most people call the windpipe. And this is not just some simple tube. Nope, it's lined with more mucus and millions of these tiny, incredible sweeping hairs called cilia. They're like a microscopic cleaning crew, constantly pushing junk up and away from your lung.
And just like a real highway, it eventually splits. The trachea divides into two major roads called the bronchi. One goes into each lung. And from there, they just keep branching out again and again into thousands of teeny tiny little pathways called bronchioles that reach every part of the lung. So let's just pause for a second and look at this whole route. You can literally trace the path the air takes. In through the nose, where it gets filtered and warmed, down the main highway of the trachea before splitting off into the lungs. It's an absolutely perfectly designed delivery system.
All right, we know the path the air takes, but how does your body actually pull that air in and then push it back out? I mean, it doesn't just happen by itself, it's a really active physical process. Breathing is all about amazing teamwork between your muscles. So look here at breathing in. See that big muscle at the bottom, the diaphragm? It pulls down, and at the same time, your rib muscles pull up and out. This makes your chest cavity bigger, which creates a vacuum that just sucks air right in. And then to breathe out, it's even easier. Everything just relaxes, the space gets smaller, and the air is gently pushed out. Okay, here's a super simple trick to remember this for your test. Seriously, the words themselves give you the answer. Inspiration is when air comes in, and expiration is when air exits. See? Easy points right there. So, at the very, very end of all those tiny bronchioles, you find millions of these little air sacs called alveoli. They look like tiny bunches of grapes. And get this, all of them together create a surface area about the size of a tennis court. All of that is packed inside your chest, and this is where the real magic happens. This is it. This is the great gas exchange we talked about at the very beginning. The walls of these little alveoli are incredibly thin, so thin that oxygen can pass directly from the lungs right into the bloodstream. And at the exact same time, the blood drops off its trash, the carbon dioxide, which passes back into the alveoli to be breathed out. It's a perfect swap. Okay, so mission accomplished. We followed a breath all the way in and gotten that oxygen into our blood. But what for? Why does every single cell in our body need this stuff so badly? The answer, and this is a big one, is a process called aerobic respiration. Honestly, this is the entire reason we breathe. The simplest way to think about it is this. Your cells take the oxygen you breathe and use it to burn the sugar from your food. And that reaction releases a ton of energy, the energy that powers every single thing you think and do. So here's the crucial point. With oxygen, you get a massive return on your energy investment. Now, your body can make energy without oxygen, that's called anaerobic, but it's way, way less efficient. It gives you far less energy. That's why you start breathing harder when you exercise. Your cells are basically screaming for more oxygen to make more fuel.
Okay, now that we know just how amazing and, frankly, how delicate this system is, we need to take a quick look at one of the biggest and most common threats to its health, smoking.
This simple experiment is pretty powerful, and it shows you exactly what's being inhaled. They're just passing the smoke from a single cigarette through some clean cotton wool, and, well, you can see the result for yourself.
And here are the three main villains that get collected in that cotton. You've got tar, which is the sticky, cancer-causing gunk that just clogs up those delicate alveoli. Then there's nicotine, the addictive drug that makes it so hard to stop. And finally, carbon monoxide, which is a literal poison that stops your blood from carrying as much of that precious oxygen.
Whoa, okay, that was a lot of information. So let's do a super quick, rapid-fire recap of the whole process to really lock it into your memory. Think of this as your cheat sheet. All right, you ready? Here's the whole story in 5 key steps. 1. You inhale air down the airways. 2. You exchange the gases in those tiny alveoli. 3. The blood transports that oxygen everywhere. 4. Your cells respire to create energy. And 5. You exhale all the waste. That is the entire process from start to finish.
And that's it. We've just turned a really complex chapter into a clear, simple story. Now, you don't just know the parts, you understand the why, the how, and the what for of every single breath you take. So the final question is for you. Now that you know how it all works, what's one small positive thing you can do to protect this incredible system? Think about it. Good luck on your test, you're going to crush it.